member of the U.S. Air Force, I need to tell you before I get started that the story I'm about to tell is my own, and any views that I share are my own. I am an American Airman. I am a warrior. I have answered my nation's call. I am an American Airman. My mission is to fly, fight, and win. I am faithful to a proud heritage, a tradition of honor, and a legacy of valor. I am an American Airman, guardian of freedom and justice, my nation's sword and shield, its sentry and avenger. I defend my country with my life. I am an American Airman, wingman, leader, warrior. I will never leave an airman behind. I will never falter, and I will not fail. In basic training, they asked us before every lesson, what part of the airman's creed spoke most to us? Answers varied from wanting to serve our country, from wanting to be a guardian of freedom and justice, from answering our nation's call and being faithful to a proud heritage. Some spoke about following their family tradition of service. Some were excited to be the first in their family to step up and serve. As we went through the 8.5 weeks of basic training, we heard more and more stories from our classmates. How important it was for some to become a guardian of freedom and justice, for others to be a wingman, a leader, a warrior. And I could connect with each person's reason, some more, some less. But as a transgender American Airman, I kept coming back to those last two lines. I will never falter, and I will not fail. See, for me, my mission to fly, fight, and win took 4 years just to begin. For 4 years, I worked towards stepping up. I lost weight, I gathered medical and financial information to turn in. I got paperwork ready for a date that was delayed multiple times. I got excited to go in and work with my recruiter's delayed entry program on exercises to prepare myself for basic training. Sat on the floor and cried when I read the Twitter announcement that transgender people would not be accepted or allowed to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. But I kept telling myself, I will never falter and I will not fail. Despite pushbacks and delays, the ban was lifted on January 1st, 2018. My recruiter and I rushed to file paperwork we had gathered months in advance. My packet went on to get rejected numerous times. Each time they wanted more medical information, or it would come back saying my biological gender had been marked incorrectly. At one point I was told I had to fill out the medical history for males, biological males. I asked my recruiter what a certain testicular condition was. He looked me dead in the eye and stated, I guarantee you don't have it. I stopped counting rejections on round 7, which was around June or July of 2018. But each time I told myself, I will never falter and I will not fail. I was finally cleared for MEPS after 11 months. MEPS is a military entrance processing station. It's one of the final steps towards getting qualified for basic training. It's a long day of physical exams that often takes more than one attempt to pass. As a 38-year-old, I passed it on my first attempt. Surely, I thought, the fight is won. I went on to receive my ship date and locked in my career field. I'd be leaving in less than 3 months. I began preparing to leave. Started packing up my apartment, selling off books, movies, and camera gadgets. Later that same week, after our DEP workout, that's the delayed entry program. Everything's like an acronym, right? Later that same week, after our DEP workout, my recruiter informed me there was a new issue. The person in charge of approving one of my waivers wanted to wait and see what was going to happen with the ban on trans people being possibly re-implemented. This waiver had nothing to do with my trans status. I looked at my recruiter and just quietly said that I was so tired of fighting and waiting and watching other recruits ship out. Sergeant Bailey, I said, this is my life. I told him I didn't know if I wanted to keep fighting for this. I went home and I thought about how far I had come and how much work we had put in. I thought about the interviews I had done and how many transgender military hopefuls there were following my progress. I thought all about the naysayers who think that people like me aren't resilient enough to be in the military. The next morning I texted my recruiter. It read simply, I will never falter and I will not fail. And then it happened. March 5th, after 4 years of waiting and watching, after 15 months of application rejections and resubmissions, I shipped to basic training. And up until the moment I got on the bus, it didn't seem real. I kept waiting for somebody to pop up and be like, just kidding. It didn't happen. We got to the reception center and I was briefed by my chain of command. They told me that they had my back in case of any bullying or hazing, but as far as my training was concerned here at Lackland, it's going to be business as usual. And it was. Our first night we got 45 minutes of sleep. We had the classic boot camp wake up, complete with locker slamming and screaming in our faces. A really tiny part of me was like, oh my God, this is awesome. The rest of me was terrified. By the end of that day, we had marched over 20 miles, and we were kept up until 03:45. I fell asleep not just on my feet that day, I fell asleep while walking. It's fancy walking. If you cup your hands as you walk, it's called marching. When we were allowed to go to bed, I had the same thought in my head that every basic trainee has at that moment. Oh my God, what did I do? And a tiny, tired voice reminded me, I will never falter, and I will not fail. Over the course of the next 2 months, my team and I relearned everything. How to walk, talk, shower, and fold clothes. I learned how to eat an entire tray of food in less than 10 minutes. And as a traditionally slow eater, that one was like I learned Air Force history, customs, and courtesies, how to break down and put together my rifle, amongst many other skills. I graduated basic training in May, the first and so far only openly transgender person to go through Air Force basic training. Less than a dozen people were able to enlist or commission in the various other branches in the 15 months that the ban was repealed. On April 14th, 6 weeks into my basic training, the ban on open trans service was reinstated. It happened to be the same day I chose to come out to my flight. Our squadron commander was present for the conversation, and when I was done, he spoke to my flight about the courage it takes all of us to own who we are and to stand up for what we believe in. He reminded us that in the service, we're a family with ties that go deeper than race, religion, orientation, or gender. And in the end, family takes care of family. I went on to spend another 4 months in technical school. There were awesome days and super shitty days. Days I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake, and others where I looked around and thought about how cool my job was. But never once was any of the difficulty caused by my transgender status. I was never a distraction or a disruption to myself or others. Never did I compromise a training scenario. As I grew accustomed to my new lifestyle and the environment, I reminded myself less and less that I will never falter and I will not fail. Those who enter the military do so for many reasons. We're looking to serve something bigger than ourselves, looking for benefits, healthcare, education, stable career, retirement, camaraderie, family. We all raise our right hand together and we swear the same oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, a document that strives to form a more perfect union, but does not claim to be a perfect union. Perfection is an ever-developing goal, one that requires inclusiveness, diversity, tolerance. And in that mission, may we never falter, and we must not fail.
Ladies and gentlemen,